This video is going to give you a quick introduction to how to negate a conditional statement. These examples were taken from the Math and Society textbook by David Lippman. It's available online for free. It's a free resource. So if you would like more examples or a more thorough explanation, feel free to check that resource out. So the negation of a conditional statement, remember a conditional statement is if P then Q. To negate that, it's equivalent to P and not Q. So if you're trying to negate a conditional statement, instead of thinking of it as negating the whole thing, you can simply negate the Q and connect it with an and. So P and not Q. So those are equivalent statements. So the two examples that we will see, we will be writing an equivalent statement for the negation of the given statement. So let's just look at this, break it down. Let's look at the statement. If you don't grease the pan, then the food will stick to it. So that is your conditional statement. If we want to negate that, we could say, it is not true that if you don't grease the pan, then the food will stick to it. Or we can write it in an equivalent way, which is the P and not Q. So if we just assume that this is P and this is Q, as is, that means that P is you don't grease the pan. So you want to work with what's already there, and to make it simple, you're just going to let the whole first part, the whole antecedent be P. So don't worry that it has don't instead of if you do. Q is going to be everything after the then, so the food will stick to it. So to write an equivalent statement for the negation of that, you're going to have P. So that will be you don't grease the pan. So the first part stays the same. Then instead of having a conditional statement, you're going to have an and then you're going to negate the second statement. So negate Q. The food will stick to it. So the negation would be the food will not stick to it. And I guess I shouldn't use the symbol and words. So I should put and. The food will not stick to it. So you don't grease the pan and the food will not stick to it. In symbols, that's P and not Q. Okay, let's look at number 2. So we want to write an equivalent statement for the negation of, if you study for your test, then you will pass it. So P is going to be you study for your test. Q is going to be you will pass your test. You will pass it. So the negation would be not P then Q, which is equivalent to P and not Q. So P is you study for your test. I always want to write the symbol. And not Q. So you will not pass it. Or you do not pass it. So you study for your test and you do not pass it. So remember that since it's a negation, this has the opposite truth value of your original statement because we're negating the original statement.